Okay. Changed out of the Jessie pants. Actually changed my shirt. I know you probably can't tell, but change that. Okay, I have my reference photo pulled up. See, especially when you start looking at the reference photo. Well, I don't think I can zoom any more than that. Especially when you start looking at this and compare it. They don't look, I don't want them to look exactly the same because I'm not a realism painter, but there are parts that I want to make, a little better. So let's see here. What I'm going to start with, let's see. I think the main thing I want to start with is under the chin here. This is bothering me. This gets complicated. So if I start cutting this down, then I start cutting this down, then I start cutting this down, it makes everything shrink. So you have to be very aware of the whole painting as a whole, instead of, just zoning in too much on a detail. Now, when you get to a certain point, then yes, you start zoning into these details. You start really zoning into these details. But you don't want to waste your time zoning into a detail that's in the wrong place. And that's just one of the challenges while working traditionally. Because on an iPad, I've done it on iPads too, and it's actually very satisfying because I could just kind of circle this and then I can shift it and move it wherever I need. But this, you really have to pay attention to it. So that's one of the kind of challenges and frustrations sometimes with it. Let's see here. Okay, so I got my paint thinner on my brush, and I'm gonna use, let me see here, I'll show you what I've used. This one, a little bit of that. And I'm not very good at teaching you exactly what colors to use. I think you just kind of learn that as you go with your style, because the colors you use is probably going to be different than what I choose, because once you start developing your own style, then that's kind of what it's all about, but I can show you just what I use if you're interested. So, God, maybe, I should use a new palette if I'm teaching something, but I've used this kind of darker red, I can't remember the names, and then I use cambium, and then, this that playful light blue, I guess it's cambium blue, something, cerulean blue, and then this dark one. So a habit that I used to have, everybody has their kind of bad habits when it comes to their painting style, but what I would always do, how I said that red and green were opposites, you use them to make a darker color? I would just, in my brain, I'd go, well, this is a very dark color, this blue is very dark, and this red is very dark. So it makes sense if I mix those, it will become the darkest color I can make and leave out green. Green is what makes it a good color. I use all three to make the dark color, but if I use just these two, it becomes purple. Then my whole painting kind of becomes purple. I have a bad habit of making things very purple, so I'm trying to get away from that. I honestly kind of mix all my colors together. It just depends on the amount of each color. I'm even adding some of this, I guess, yellow ochre in, and it becomes this kind of very dark brown. But I like to add some red. I just like to keep it very colorful as I can. So here's my reference photo. Like I said, the challenge of this is there is a hand here. I've decided to omit the hand. When I posed for this, I was thinking about listening to the birds, hearing them. But in this, I think it just is better to be you can tell that I'm listening. You can't see up here, but there is a mourning dove flying above my head. So, yeah. So I've decided to omit that. But the challenge with that, too, is my arm make this shadow here. Do I keep the shadow? Do I omit the shadow because that thing isn't there? Does it matter? These are things that you kind of have to think about too when using a reference. Here's my towel. Okay, this is another reason why I kind of use this towel. Oh my lord, I need to clean all my stuff. My stuff is nasty. It's got cat hair in it. I don't like to dab my color and immediately add it to the canvas unless I'm doing a sketch of something. If I'm this far into the process of a painting, I don't want to be marking, you know, all over it. So what I use the towel for is it makes it kind of more of a dry brush. So I just kind of dab it on there and it makes it more of a sketch. Where is this thing? Let's see here. So if I was to add to here, this could be wrong, but it's kind of the beauty of oil paints. It's very forgiving. Like, you can mold this stuff days later if you applied it thick enough. It's kind of hard to paint when it's at an angle like that. Here, I'm giving it back to myself. You can look at it later. I have to angle this at me. Okay. Yeah, see, it's definitely a challenge when that hand is in the way. Like, I don't really know how hair naturally flows. I mean, I have things where I'm like, I feel like it's like this. I kind of feel like it's like that. And not everyone is like this, but I am very emotional with the art. Not even like I'm painting this emotional thing. It's more like I'm a very feely person. I'm not very good at teaching you the logic of the color hues and where to apply your paint. That's where I think I'll have to learn to have a better sense of vocabulary with things like that. But for me right now, I go, what feels off? What feels like it needs to change? What feels good to you? Like, what feels right? That's where I kind of have a challenge with teaching, I guess. Okay, so this also is what helps me. So when I was taught measuring in school, I'm like, what you talking about? I've never measured before in my life, and I don't know how to make a grid pattern. So just for the people who don't really understand it, you use it as a reference. So when I'm doing this, you know, that artsy fartsy, like, ooh, yeah, ooh, I'm measuring you. When you see that kind of thing, you're like, what the hell are they doing? This is what they're doing. This line here, so right now I'm working on the neck. If I were to put this brush right here, and I did it as straight as possible, sometimes I put grid on the phone, like I'm editing it, but this is easier to me. So I line it up with the neck, and what does it line up exactly with up the face? Where is it exactly lining up with? And for this, it's exactly lining up with that little hair sticking over my eye. So this is supposed to line up perfectly with the neck here. Now the end of the neck should line up about the edge of the eye. So right at this corner of the eye, this neck should line up. So everything is pretty lined up here, but then you have to kind of go back and forth with all of, you know, the relevance of it. So I'm gonna come down here a little bit, do a little scratchly. How far should the hair come off to the side? So I think this painting is lacking a lot of measurements, actually. So because I hate measuring, I like to sketch, and I like the feel of it, and I like carving out things and building. I don't like measuring. It makes it more analytical. It takes me out of it, you know? But it's necessary if you want a painting that looks accurate. That's why I like painting leaves and flowers, because it really doesn't have to be perfectly accurate. I can look at a reference and I can measure some, but a face is so specific to a person, you know? So you really have to measure all the time if you're painting a face, you know? Even if you're very talented and you've gotten used to it, I still think even the masters have to measure. Okay, so got this. Right now I'm just kind of sketching and forming a little bit, and then I measure after. I kind of do it as close as I can. It just helps kind of narrow down the area that you're gonna have to measure. I'm just gonna carve this out a little bit. You know, it needs darks. Like, it definitely is lacking some darker. Needs some darker. Let's see, carve that a little bit. Okay, so now we're gonna be working on this hair coming off to the side. So I'm measuring the amount of hair that's gonna be coming off my head at this exact area, not all down here. And that's also the challenge of a face that's looking up. The perspectives are out of whack. If it was a straight face, a perfectly, you know, it's a little bit easier because it looks more natural. When a face is looking up, it gets distorted and it's a bit more challenging. Okay, so that area is about the same distance as, and then you kind of find something on here. Like the ear's kind of too big. It's about the same distance as the edge of that eye to the nose. So from the edge of the side to that nose is the same distance from this to here. So this is why measuring helps, because for me, I thought this needed to be tucked in more. Just in my head, it seemed like it needed to be tucked in more. But when I measure it, it's actually accurate. So I don't need to mess with this. That means that it's warped in a different way. It's probably more up here, you know? You're like, oh, I thought this was the problem, but it actually isn't. It's somewhere else. So you have to look somewhere else. So let's see here. I think it's this lump here. The bang is off. It needs to be more at an angle like this, going down. This should probably be a little bit more omitted. So let's tweak this one. So if I'm gonna do that, see the forehead's jacked up too, because that eye's kind of messed up. I probably messed up the measuring. So let's go by this eye and we'll fix this eye later. I'm deciding to not keep that one, even though it's the one open and it looks good. Like, it looks okay, but I think this one feels more natural with the angle I'm going for. It could be that, but I prefer to redo this eye. So I'm gonna use this one to measure with, because you want to keep it accurate. So let's see here. This area needs to be a little darker. I'm gonna add some more of this and just do kind of, that was my coffee. I did the age-old artistic thing, and I just used my coffee cup to dab this paintbrush in. Let's move that away so I don't drink that. Yeah, they were literally right beside each other, so, I mean, the ye old artist problem. There's cat hair in everything. There's cat hair in everything. Okay. And with this one, why I got this, I didn't really explain, but it has this, here, I'll take it out for you. It has this bucket in it that has these holes down here. So it separates the Gamsol from the pigment that sinks to the bottom. It separates when you're in here. So all of the like pigment and paint that you get, it sinks while the water rises, and it's still mixed. I like to have kind of muddy, muddy colors. If you don't, you probably have to change this way more than I do. I never change it. I just let it, once it evaporates, I add more. I never change this stuff. Anyway, let's add a little bit more of this. And this is where I like my watercolor experience. So before I was an oil painter, let's see here, let me get this. Before I was an oil painter, my go-to medium was, first it was acrylic. I think almost every artist is acrylic because when they're a kid it's like easily obtainable. But like acrylic was first, and then watercolor. I was really into watercolor, and then I just latched on to oil paint because to me you use those two techniques in it. You use acrylic where you layer things on top of each other, but you also use watercolor because you can water this down and use it as kind of a wash. I love it. I really do. I love oil painting. Okay, so this is going to be carved more, so let's see. Let's measure this. So that eye to the nose is a good one. So this one we know is accurate. But then as it goes farther up, sometimes people use that angle. To me, the angle thing is difficult. And also, like people use that angle thing a lot, especially when doing figure drawing. It's difficult for me to hold an angle because my hand can always tweak it, and as soon as it's tweaked, you're kind of screwed. It's not gonna be accurate. But people also hold their hand out like this, you know, instead of like doing this. They hold it straight out because you can't move it farther in if it's straight out. If it's bent, you can jack up your angle a lot easier than if it's straight. So that's why artists go like, they close one eye and they go, when they do that stuff, that's what they're doing. I hated doing it in school because I'm like, I feel like a pretentious wannabe, like, I don't know, I feel like a pretentious fool doing this. Like, what the hell am I doing here? Everybody's doing this in class. I'm like, what are you doing? I don't know what you're doing. But I've learned now what they're actually, I'm like, y'all are just doing this to look cool. You aren't doing anything. Anyway, the angle thing is difficult for me because literally, like this kind of works for me. I don't know if you can see that tweak of your wrist can really change an angle up. So once I figure that out, life might get a lot easier for me in art. So, but I just can't trust the angle. It's so specific. So I always go horizontal and vertical. If I can start going diagonal, that's like a new superpower. So better watch out. You see, I just can't. I can't trust it. Maybe I should try. Maybe it would be very helpful. Yeah, maybe it'll help me. Let's try it with hay. Okay. Okay, so I've made this kind of line here, and then we'll carve that out later, and then the cap on the head. Let's go ahead and carve it out now. So I'm using that playful, I don't know, that blue, that, I'm sorry, the cerulean blue, the very bright, kid kind of friendly one. Let's use that one, and then a little bit of white, just because that's my background. For backgrounds, I usually use a color that's very plentiful or one that you can stretch very far, but also a color I like. So right now it's this blue. Okay. I like to leave sort of a ghost of that shape before in case I want to ever return back to it. There you go. Alright, so that's kind of carved out, and then I think this bang is going to have to be fixed as well, so let's kind of do that. Okay. I also use, this thing is probably one of my favorite tools because I use this a lot. See how this is kind of bled in? It doesn't look very natural. Sometimes I'll use this to blend. And it's my eraser. You don't mess up. You got a little eraser. That's why it helps more too, because if you're using acrylic, you kind of want it done. You're kind of screwed. What are you gonna do? Put water on? It's gonna take down the layer underneath and take down the layer underneath. People might like that. It's kind of like working with ink. You know, you make a mark, that mark is confident, you go. Same thing with watercolor. It's, you gotta be confident, but this, it's a little bit, you got a little bit more leeway. If I wanted to, I would erase all that and bring that back. I could easily do that. Like, look, here, I'll show you. See? Well, not perfectly all the way back, but like, see? Erased. It's back. Bang's back. She back. Go away now. Go back away. Be hidden. Go on. Get. Okay. Go back, go away, get on, get. Okay, now it's gone, see? It's easy. And you can still have confident, easy strokes, but it's like, there's also freedom in it, you know? Okay, so let's see here. Ooh, I hit my funny bone. So there's also kind of a shadow here that I'm missing. Let's go by, I need to fix that eye because it also helps to have the face down because you can use it as reference. So let's say to the edge of the face, to the part of the nose, is the same as the end of the head to that tip of the nose. So let's see here. So from this, should be about the same. So this is definitely too far in. So that definitely needs to be back. Get back, get back, get back. I want you. Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, looks a little bit better. The hair here is starting to look a little off now, you know? And that neckline. Let's fix the neckline. And see what I mean? Like, I'm working on a little bit of everything. I'm not zoning into one area until I want to. But I think it would be better to do all this stuff first before you zone in to an area, because like I said, you don't want to waste all your freaking time working on a little area. So a little bit of this color, a little bit of that color, a little bit of that. And I love working with colors that is muddy. I rarely ever work with a pure color. You ain't gonna see me working with a pure color that much. Maybe for little details, little areas, but my palette's gonna look like mud half the time. All right, let's fix this neckline here. Let's measure before we do that. So I'm going like this, measuring the chin. I'm gonna do this bottom part. That's easy for me to reference right here. This bottom of the chin that we just created right here. I'm gonna use that. And I'm gonna compare it to something that is set. So the edge of the face to that eye. So about right here. Actually pretty accurate. So it's in the right place. Okay, so I'm gonna use this. I'm just gonna go a big old swoop over here. Right there. Yep. And I know I actually had it in the past, but then I omitted it because I'm like, this is my arm. It's not gonna realistically cast a shadow. Like if I'm doing this, you see the shadow. But if my hand is now gone, that shadow stays. That doesn't really make sense, but I don't think it really matters. I think it looks better. It has a contrast. I think I'm gonna keep it. And the people who do realism can just yell at me. Add a little bit more of this yellow. Add a little bit more of this red. Mix it all up, mix it all up. Mix it all up until we're all dead. Mix it, mix it, mixing all the paint. We mix and mix and mix and mix until we just ain't. I don't want to mess it up too much because I don't want to get ahead of myself. And I usually keep this towel on my lap, and I'll just easily, when I get into a zone. And you gotta remember, so people, I know I keep saying this disclaimer, but people paint in all kinds of different ways. My word is not law. I'm just showing you what kind of works for me and how my process is. But I also try to remember, I don't want to paint one whole thing here of the shadow, because within the shadows there are shadows, within the lights there are lights. So like if you look at this one color here, I could paint it as one base color and add the details later, but I don't do that right now. Like if you look into the very details of this, you have okay, you have this dark, but then you have the light of it catching on this seam right here, and then you have the dark on the inside. There's a darker color there, and then you have a lighter color even here. So just in this span of this tiny thing, there are, oh my god, there are a lot of hues and colors. There's a lightness to this area and a darkness to this area, if you can see it. There's a lightness, like this triangle right here. There's a light triangle. There's a dark rectangle right here. Light triangle, dark rectangle. It's kind of like if you folded an accordion in a piece of paper. and then let it out, you can see, even though the paper is white, you can see all the shadows and stuff. I want to capture all of that good stuff. Okay. But I feel like if I just paint it all one color right now, I'm gonna lose that, you know, so I'm not doing that. And I also don't want to lose some of these hairs that I have down here. Like, I like that. So who knows, I might change my mind and take this whole thing out again. I think for now, right now, I might even be getting too much into the details. It's easy to get lost in the details of it. I think right now I should just kind of do a wash over it. I'm gonna go over I'm just gonna go over what I just said to myself. I just think it'll look better with a shadow here, even if it doesn't make sense. Some things we do to make sense, and sometimes I just do it because I like it, so. See, put a little bit of that there, a little bit of that there. Move this down. And then there's some light coming out. Because I think you also have to sacrifice some things with your painting. Like, do I want to get into the details of the shirt, or would I rather put my time to this? Are other people really going to care that I put details in this? Do I care? If I cared, then I'm going to do it. But I don't know. It might not even be worth it. That's where I get lost in it a lot and get stuck. Let's add a little bit of this, a little bit of that, a little bit of this, a little bit of that, a little bit of that. And I'm gonna do a shadow over here too for where the hair is. Let me add a little bit more color. And it is like watercolor. I don't use the paint in its pure form. It's always watered down with paint thinner. And it just depends on how much it's watered down. Okay, we got this area done too. And I think this hair can come in even more. It's actually very close to the ear, so the ear should probably be bigger. I'm gonna say that this is where the ear should be, and this is where the hair is. I think this hair should be tucked in a bit more as well. So let's do that. Let's tuck the hair in more. I think it should be shaped a little bit better. Let's see here, I'm gonna use that blue. A little bit of white, a little bit of blue, a little bit of white, a little bit of that, a little bit of this. Okay. And I'm gonna keep this little twirl here because I have that. But this, I'm gonna tuck this in, and then I have this kind of like light peeking through here. And there's a little bit, I'm gonna make that more of a background thing, but there's a little bit of light poking through here. There's a little bit of light poking through there. Let's move this down and out. Down and out, down and out, like that. Because I don't want to miss that swoop. I kind of like that little swoop going on right here. Let's make it a little bit sharper. There we go. And I kind of want to dull this a little bit more. Let's wipe it away, wipe it away, wipe it away. Dull it just a little bit. So that helps it dull. And then same thing with this. Just gonna dull it a little bit. There we go. Shape it, shape it. There you go, kind of like that. And then I can get into the details about it a bit more too. Now then, the bangs here. Let's fix the bangs, and then that might be the last thing I work with you with. I mean, there's a lot of little areas. My main focus is here, and then kind of down here. This is kind of my problem area because that is a source of the light hitting, but also my hand was here, so I had to make it up, and I don't really know what I'm doing. So let's see here. So the edge here, the forehead. So this is where that perspective gets a little hazy because this space here would be more natural if I was down, if I had my head down a little bit more. But since my hair is up, look at this very good angle of me. If my hair is up, this area right here is gonna be a lot smaller than if I do this. See the size here? Now, here it's shrunk. And it's like, you have to get rid of your preconception of that space of hair, because this would be more natural if I'm drawing myself in almost any other circumstance. But that needs to be shortened. So let's add, I need some water very soon. Okay. Let's go ahead and just do this. I mean, we can measure it later on. Let's see. Let's just see what it looks like. I can erase it, so I probably should measure. Ugh, I just hate measuring. I do. Let's measure. I'm gonna regret it if I don't. It is a tiny area. It's literally the space between that. So it's about that. And then the forehead, I don't want to shrink my forehead. Let's go from the eye to the top of the forehead, to the ear, to the edge of the eye. So it should be, my forehead should be way bigger. Woo! That big old forehead. Let's bring that forehead up. I'm just gonna make a mark, because that's where my forehead's gonna have to be. And then let's just cut this edge right here. And then I'm actually, since my forehead is supposed to be a lot bigger, that's just what I mean by having to measure, because usually I would cut this down, but then something else is up, you know? It's like something else is wrong. Like I would just kind of cut this down, get rid of that, get rid of this, get rid of that, here's that. It does look better. It probably should kind of have happened, but it brought up another issue that was wrong with the painting. And that was that the forehead is too small. So I actually need to bring this color out here instead of just bringing this down, because it's deflating my head a little bit. I need to bring my head back out. Because if I think about this, my head, if I was bald, you would see my whole head here. Like, the hair's, you know what I mean? So I think the hair is not so bad as the problem. Like it actually can come back out. But the forehead needs to come in. And this is when we start working more in with the face. And now the face, and we never fix this area, but this area is kind of difficult to work with. And I don't think we need it right now. I think once we get the face done, we can start measuring a bit better. Let me bring this in. Oh, God, I just have to do these shadows. It's hard for me to let you go. Let's see here. Let's do these shadows first, because this is going to be bothering me too. Bam, bam. Just get them done real quick. Bam, bam, bam. A little bit of that, a little bit of here, a little bit of this, a little bit of that. A little bit of the dark over here, a bit of the light over there. You can tell I'm very good at teaching with my vocabulary going on. And then it's supposed to get pretty dark right here. So this neck is pretty flat. Yeah, it's a little flat here. It needs some more light in different areas. So, let's see here. Bring a little bit of light back into this area. A little bit of this. And this probably isn't what people really like a lot. Let's dry brush this. Dry brush. And then you can use your dry brush to kind of pull it without any color. It's kind of like a blending, you know, if you ever use the blending tool. It's kind of like that. It's like using the blending tool. One of my favorite places or favorite areas to paint on the face is actually the double chin. I love painting a double chin. I know my double chin is different than this double chin, but like, I love a double chin. I love painting a double chin. I love how the light reflects, like if you're looking at my double chin right now, like I actually love that to paint, especially at different angles. See how I have a shadow right here under my chin? And then I have all this light that comes out. I guess even if I didn't have a double chin, I'm trying to mute or something. Even if I didn't have a double chin, you probably would still have that. I don't know. You probably will still have that, but I love painting a double chin. it's just like the colors are so amazing. The way that the shadow hits here, this light, this dark here on my chin, this light down here, I love it. I feel like it adds so much depth. Like I have my double chin on this other painting. I'm not gonna show you, you've seen it. But I love painting that double chin. Anyway, here it is. Here's the progress so far. That's the progress. I don't know how much progress that really is, but yeah, so the next thing I would probably do is put some headphones on, really zone in, and start tweaking a lot of this stuff. But yeah, that's the kind of the main premise of it is when you're painting, and I have to remind myself this all the time, you have to work on the whole thing and not just in one area. Now, when I start zoning in, like I said, I'll be really hyper fixated on one area, but I have to make sure it's in the right place. I have to make sure that the whole works harmoniously together before I start working on the intricate details of something, because you never know when you take a step back and you're like, that's in the wrong place. You have to erase the whole thing, and all that work has been down the drain because you didn't see the whole picture the whole time. So anyway, there you have it. So that's kind of into my mind a little bit. I think I'm gonna throw some headphones on and zone in, or maybe do something else, but that bang is still bothering me. Oh gosh, this forehead area right here is bothering me. I'm going to have to fix that. I love it. I love painting. So I hope that you do too. And I hope you've had fun watching, maybe. Maybe I was entertaining. I'll catch you in the next one, and we'll see what progress that I make on it next time. See you later. Peace out.